several elements to a great backswing. Once we're into the takeaway position and there's movement this way, you're going to start to see the wrist cock. And what I really like about the power position is I swing back, I'm seeing all black, and then I feel like I don't lift my arms up, I merely cock the wrist. Now notice that when I look back at the power position, it's on an angle and I'm seeing all black at this point. I don't want you to go back like this. Notice where the back end is pointing to my body. I want to get this pointing down to the ground. And then I continue to turn back to the top. So it's a swinging, cocking, turning motion that really puts me into the right position. When you look at it from this angle, you're going to notice the same thing. As I go back, the club is going back. I'm not over rotating it to where I see any yellow. I'm not going back to where I see yellow on this side. I'm allowing it to rotate a little bit open. Here's the hinging. And if I get to the top, take a look at the position of that. Notice that this position is pointing parallel to the target. I do not want it pointing off to the side. That's called laid off. I don't want it across the line where this point is pointing to the right of the target line. So make sure you're working on the position this way, back, hinge. You can see it's perfect. From there, I come right back down. That is so key when you're using the power position for your backswing. The other thing when you're swinging the golf club, you're obviously swinging the club back for a good backswing where it's hinging and setting and getting back. Notice that it's also on a circle. It's not a straight line up and down. It's certainly not like a helicopter that's so horizontal that I can't hit the golf ball, but it is somewhere in between. So the shape with the refiner, it's beautiful to be able to go back and then to set the wrist, and you'll notice it's on an angle and I continue to turn. From here I come back down. You do not want the refiner to do this. You don't want it breaking down. If you're in a bad position at the top, you'll also see it break down. So let's make sure we use the refiner and do these repetitions nice and smooth, arms, chest, and then set it in the right spot, and it's not going anywhere. That's what you want to feel with using the refiner for your backswing. Another critical thing when you're making a backswing, I'm going to stand on the pro stance. I'm going to put it pretty much in the center of my feet. This is helping me to feel the ground. Remember how I said your hands are connected to the club, your feet are the only thing connected to the ground. Those are your only two connections in the swing. I think it's really important. That's why we get into good posture, so that I want to feel the weight as I swing the club back. I want to start to feel it move to the center of my right foot, or even right into the center where I feel like my upper body is turning back behind the golf ball. From here, I'm really substantially feeling down pressure in the center of my right. Now, you know why that's happening? Because my mass, my upper mass, is turning back behind the golf ball. I certainly don't want to go back and shift my weight to the right. As someone says, get behind the ball, they shift their weight to the right and they're hanging to the left, and all my weight is pushing down on that forward leg of the pro stance. Don't want that. And the other thing I'll do is stick this shaft like this against my right hip, and I'll put this up against my shoulder line, just like this, and I'm going to turn back, and I'm going to try to feel like this shaft, the end of this pro rod, is going to get behind the golf ball. And I'm almost going to do a little test. Notice how I'm going this way. I'm not swaying and tilting downward. I'm turning my upper body back behind, and watch what I do. I'm going to hold this turn back and tap the forward foot to feel my weight turning behind. A lot of you go back and you're hanging to the left and you can't even raise your forward foot. Or you'll go back and hold your turn for a second, and as I tell you to lift your forward foot, you lose your turn. So make sure that you hold your turn back into the right and do a little tap. You can get rid of that as well and cross your arms on your shoulders, use the pro stance, and try to make a good turn and getting this behind the ball. Notice how I'm turning, I'm loaded up, I'm ready to make that move forward. A good backswing, getting your body in position with the right motion makes a huge difference in your power as well as your delivery through the golf ball. Very, very important. One of the greatest things for the top of swing position is never to cup the wrist so much that you lose power. A lot of people do that. They think that they're cocking the wrist, but they start to break the wrist into a two-cup position. I have the Smart Glove. Notice that I have a very solid piece of plastic that's going to help create a solid top of swing position for my back of my left wrist and the top of my hand. I put the glove on, and now this is going to prevent me from getting into a bad position at the top. I swing back. Take a look at that position. Nice flat left wrist. That looks like Adam Scott. That looks like Jack Nicklaus. That looks like Tiger Woods, some of the greatest players in the world, that then come down and merely turn and square the club face. If you're losing power, typically we're going to see sometimes a club face that gets way too open and your wrist is way too cupped. This plastic sheath here, it really keeps me from doing that, which I love that good feeling. It's giving me positive feedback. Hit a bunch of balls in the net with that, take it off, and then when you go out to the course, I want you to remember that feel that you've rehearsed time after time for the right top of swing position.